Let's talk about how you engage in discussion with people who oppose you.
Yeah.
Because that's something that you frequently do. You don't like to term it debate because debate is very often about winners and losers as opposed to discussion, which is really more about clarifying positions and determining where people stand. So when you're discussing, say, atheism with someone, what do you find is the best way to approach that particular issue when you're beginning a discussion with an atheist about believing in the Bible, believing in Jesus? You're obviously a Catholic. What's the best way to approach that discussion?
Defining terms. What is meant by atheism? I think there's been something of a shift since the new atheists that would seek to redefine atheism to mean something indistinguishable from agnosticism. It seems to me, though, that there are three basic ways you can answer the question, does God exist? Yes, no, or maybe. And so it seems appropriate to me that there should be three terms that would identify the possessors of each belief. Atheist, theist, or agnostic. I don't know. Only the theist and the atheist has a burden of proof because they're the only ones claiming something. So I think that would be the first way to go about it. Are there good reasons to think that atheism is true? Are there good reasons to think that theism is true? And I don't like debates, not because I don't believe in them, but because I'm not good at them. I find I get quite flustered and I don't think quite straight. I don't think I'm a very kind of confrontational person. But I do enjoy talking to people who disagree with me in a friendly way, like over a beer or something like that, which is what Pints with Aquinas is about, really just sitting down and giving each other the benefit of the doubt, not trying to corner each other and just trying to understand where each other is coming from.
So you mentioned there the kind of shift in the new atheist community from atheism to agnosticism, and that is clearly what has happened. I mean, there used to be an argument militantly anti-God, and God for certain does not exist. You're a fool if you believe in religion or in a deity, and that has moved into pretty solidly, well, I don't know and I don't care. So how would you engage that particular argument? Because that seems to be the more common one in today's day and age, and even people who tend to think that they're theists will say things like, I'm spiritual but not religious, which is effectively indifferent about the presence of God in their lives. How do you engage in the agnostic argument?
Yeah, it's a good question. First of all, I just want to say, obviously there are atheists who have arguments against God's existence, and there are very intelligent atheists, but you're right, a lot of people just don't care. It seems to me that if God does not exist, we have dogmatic answers to the most important questions we're all most interested in asking. Like, where did I come from? Why am I here? Who am I? How should I live? And where am I going? It struck me that if God doesn't exist, then here are the answers. Where did I come from? I've been coughed into existence by a blind cosmic process that didn't have me in mind. You and I are accidental byproducts of nature. There is no objective, mind-independent meaning for our life. We can adopt subjective meanings so we feel better about ourselves or something, but these aren't actually the reasons why we exist. How should we live? Well, we could live in a way that's conducive to the flourishing of our group, or we could not. And it doesn't seem to me that would be right or wrong to adopt one of these positions if there is no objective moral law. Where are we going? We will die. And not just individually, but collectively as a species. Cosmologists tell us that as the universe continues to expand, there'll eventually be nothing, spreading out through seemingly infinite space, just cosmic soup. None of that is an argument for God existing, of course. It might be that bleak, and we might just have to deal with it. But I'm going to need a good reason to think things are that bleak. And I think when I was a high schooler, I didn't really vibe with Christianity. I didn't like what it taught. I didn't like I didn't believe in the witness of the people who went to church, and so I stopped going. I said I was agnostic. But I think questions like that, like, does it bother you that this is all meaningless? What if it wasn't? Would you want to know? Maybe those are the sorts of questions that could provoke desire to then have a more meaningful discussion about God.
I mean, when you talk about that, I think realistically, actually, the agnostic view is even bleaker than that because you're using active verbs to describe how people can react to the meaninglessness of existence. If you're a pure scientific materialist, the idea that you are self-motivated, that you can self-will, this sort of the ability for existentialists to claim agency that seemingly arises from nowhere, just from the processing of neurons, is something that I think is very difficult to overcome. And so it's not even that you can make a sort of Jean-Paul Sartre argument that you can escape the bleakness of existence by acts of will, or the Nietzschean argument. That shouldn't really even exist in a cold materialist universe because, again, you're just a piece of meat wandering through space on a rock, effectively speaking. And so, that sort of argument is, again, it's very difficult, I think, number one, to build an individual life on that basis, and also to build a society on that basis. And furthermore, when I hear people make that argument, because they say, I'll say, so why is that argument important for you to make? And I'll say, well, because it's true. And then, of course, you're into Alvin Plantinga land. Like, okay, well, what do you mean by true? What truth exists independent of simple evolutionary biology? You say that it's very important that you know this thing because this thing is true, but does truth have an independent meaning without an independent creator of that truth who stands above that truth?
It's interesting that you mention Alvin Plantinga because he is famous for developing this idea of properly basic beliefs. In other words, we all have beliefs, and some of those beliefs are basic, meaning they're not based upon other beliefs. If we had to have an argument for every belief that we hold, that would lead to an infinite regress and we wouldn't believe in anything. But Plantinga said that some beliefs are properly basic. That is to say, we are warranted epistemically to hold certain beliefs even without arguments. He would say without evidence, but it depends what you mean by evidence. Such as the reality of other minds, or that the universe wasn't created 5 minutes ago with the appearance of age and breakfast in my stomach I never ate, and things like this. It seems like we're all rational to believe in these things, even though we might not be able to give arguments for them. And I think most people believe in God like that. They're embarrassed to say that that's why they believe in God. They would like to have some awesome metaphysical argument that has completely convinced them. I don't think I believe in God because of arguments, any more than I believe in free will because of arguments, or that I exist because of arguments. It just sort of seems to make sense to me. And I know that that's not a reason why somebody else should believe in God, but it seems to be an okay reason for why I believe in God. And so therefore, if you want to disavow me of my belief in God, then I'd like a reason. Sort of like, what's his name? Neo in The Matrix was given a reason by Morpheus to now doubt the reality, what he thought of as reality.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. Before you go, do us a favor, leave a comment, let us know what you thought of the video, like, and subscribe.